To Wings, etc. Let's go! Right here on the Co-Found Distributing Coaches Show on SEMO ESPN.
Welcome in. We are at Wings, etc. The Cape Girardeau location. They have two locations, Cape and Jackson. We are in Cape today. The Redhawks Coaches Show with Coach Tuke, presented by Colfeld Distributing. And so we certainly invite you to stop by, join us for lunch. They have some great lunch specials, and their menu has a lot more than just wings. So we invite you to stop by as we talk Redhawks football with Coach Tuke. And as we welcome Coach Tuke into the show, we also are going to talk with your wife today. Now I don't know what to call it. Now, is it Mrs. Coach Tuke? Is it just Lena? I mean, what do we call?
I call her boss
wife?
lady. I don't know what.
Okay.
But I think Lena would be great. I don't know if you can hear me, but we normally call her boss lady.
Boss lady. All right. I don't know that she'd appreciate me calling her boss lady. We'll ask her when she gets up here. We'll find out. We may find out a secret or two, Coach, about you, but we'll certainly find out what it's like to be a coach's wife. That is a different proposition altogether, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it'll be good insight. That she does a lot with our team. Has these kids over for dinner and those type of things. So I think it will be fun.
We want to remind you that in addition to their award-winning jumbo wings here at Wings, and that is available for dine-in and carry-out, they have a full menu that features fresh burgers. They have wraps, subs, quesadillas, entree salads. They even have smoked ribs here at Wings, etc. And they have their terrific appetizer lineup. That includes their ultimate nachos and their spicy, deep-fried pickle spears. And one thing you'll notice when you walk in, there are lots and lots of high-def flat-screen televisions with the best sports programming there, including the NFL ticket. They've got the 24-hour tip-off marathon college basketball going on right now. It's been going on for about the last 20 hours or so, and will continue throughout tonight. Apparently, we got an issue here technically, so why don't we take a duck out? We'll take a quick timeout. We'll be back to talk Redhawks football with Coach Tuke, including the Jacksonville State game, and preview Senior Day coming up at Houck Stadium on Saturday. We'll take a quick timeout. Back to Wings in a moment on the SEMO ESPN Sports Radio Network.
Has been growing about Wings, etc.
The Kofeld Distributing Redhawks Coaches Show at Wings, Etc. in Cape Girardeau with Coach Tuke. And Coach Tuke's wife, Lena, is going to join us a little bit later on in the show. We'll get you ready for Senior Day as the Redhawks wrap up the regular season against the UT Martin Skyhawks. Recap the game against the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. Coach Tuke, easy to say Jacksonville State was as good as you thought they were, or are they better than you thought they were?
No, I think they were as good as we thought. The talent level they have is as good as there is in this level of football, and I think they'll have great success in the playoffs. They should get a bye and home field advantage, and exactly what they want to go try and make a run in a national championship.
Now they play the championship down in Texas, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Frisco.
Then if they continue to win, they're going to get a home game the entire way.
Oh yeah.
What do you think? What do you think of the stadium when you got there?
Very nice, beautiful place. It wasn't full, but it was a loud environment. Really, really tight sidelines. People may not have seen it, but Tremaine McCullough gets hit right at the sideline, and I mean, just goes flying, and 6 feet away from the sideline are these equipment boxes, and I mean, just ricochets into those. And so it was a different experience, and different type of stadium, but we enjoyed our trip. When you go back and you watch the game, there are lots of takeaways. Probably the biggest thing is you liked how our offense has improved. What you didn't like was the fact that defensively we didn't play well, and they were talented and they were going to be able to score some points, but felt like all along we need to hold them to the low 30s, and we needed to make a play on special teams. But I thought we'd be in that game if we could hold them to the low 30s, and defensively just didn't show up.
Talking about your offense, Jacksonville State coach John Gross, his quote on Dante Vandeven, I think he's the best young quarterback in our league, and went on to say that he's got a very bright future. That's pretty high praise from a guy coaching the #1 team in the country. He really liked what he saw with Dante Vandeven. Obviously saw him on video leading up to the game. Dante now has 4 consecutive games without an interception and had his best passing game in terms of yardage on Saturday.
Yeah, I agree with you. Dante's a guy that, was playing a year too early, but we asked him to do it. He's bought in, and we're trying to coach him and get him better. If he doesn't get any better, we're not going to win any championships. He's definitely not playing at a championship level yet, but he shouldn't. I mean, he's a true freshman. And so if he is hungry and he really wants to be great, and he'll allow us to take him to the places to work on his game, I really feel like he's going to be a very good quarterback. But we're going to bring recruits in, and we're going to make sure that, I think the best way to make sure players try and get better in off season is the depth chart, and somebody behind you is doing some good things. That'll make sure that you're dedicated to improving your game. And so along with Dante and all these other positions, I think that's, our biggest challenge is how much better can we get?
Is it tough to recruit, like when, say, a recruit knows, hey, you got a freshman quarterback, he's the starter, he's kind of installed as a starting quarterback, trying to recruit another quarterback who in their mind might say, I don't know if the job's open?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. Dante came even though he knew we signed Tay Bender. So I think you just got to get a guy that wants to be here, believes in the culture of what we're trying to do, and has the talent that we're looking for. And so, but it is definitely comes up in meetings. But if the only reason he'd come here is because he could play, I don't want him. Like, I want him to come here because he likes it here. He wants to go to school here. He enjoys the kind of culture that we have.
How big is it whether or not they enjoy your wife's cooking? Is that a big factor?
Well, if they don't enjoy it, man, they ain't smart enough to get in this school. Yeah. So, because I'm telling you right now, she's a card carrying machine in the kitchen. Her mom was a caterer. She had her own food, or had several restaurants, and so she grew up in the South. And our issues in the household came from spice. Like, she's from the South. She's from Louisiana.
Too much spice for you?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a bad deal early on in the relationship. Tic Tacs kind of wear me out. And so I some of that spice. So she's brought me along, and now I'm putting pepper on my stuff and everything. It's amazing.
And we will talk with the card carrying machine in the kitchen, aka the boss lady, coming up in just a few moments here. The final score in the game, 56-28. You did put 4 touchdowns on the top scoring defense in the OVC, and I guess that was one of the things that you took out of the game as saying, hey, maybe the offense is starting to take a step forward.
Yeah, they were the number 2 scoring defense in the country, and so we moved the ball on a good team. I think if we had to finish that initial drive, that opening drive, we turned the ball over in the red zone. If we'd have finished that out, man, I don't know how you could have felt any better, because we talked about what it would take to win that game, and we had to score touchdowns when we got in the red zone. We couldn't kick field goals, and we did that. We talked about making a play on special teams. We down a punt inside the 5. We score a 99-yard touchdown. We turn them over on kickoff. And so a lot of the things that we talked about all week that it would take to be successful, our team did.
And the thing that was surprising there was the fact that you lost the fumble. You'd only lost 2 fumbles the entire year. That's about as rare a thing as there is in the OVC this year, because you're a plus 11 in turnover margin. The rarest thing in the OVC this year has been Redhawks losing a fumble.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing worse than turning it over in the red zone would be like liver and onions. I mean, it just is the worst thing that could ever happen, because you got points on the board, take care of the football. It's a lack of focus. And so that was extremely disappointing.
Not even a good spice can rehabilitate liver and onions. I'm with you.
No, that should not be a part of anybody's menu.
Well, let's talk about that 99-yard kickoff return for a touchdown by freshman Cameron Sanders. That broke the school record, which had stood since 1985. David Jackson returned a kick, 97 yards for the then Indians against Abilene Christian. And so Cameron Sanders, that record may stand for a while. How about this young man that you have thrown into the mix as a freshman, and you put him on an important team like kick return?
Yeah, I mean, this kid was one of our top recruits in that class. I mean, we've been on him for a very long time. I tried to get his brother to play for us when I first got here. He's at a great school, CBC, down in Memphis. And the biggest problem we had, believe it or not, is we don't know where to play him. He's 6'2", 210. He runs a 4.4. And so we brought him in as a safety, but he can do so many things with a ball in his hand. And so we have, during the off week, we moved him to running back, got him going in the kickoff return. He's just been learning how to do things and things like that. And it just finally clicked. We knew all along that if you got him out in the open, the best thing he has is an arm tackle won't bring him down, because Jacksonville hit him a couple times with an arm. If you have a Tremaine McCullough returning, they'll knock him down, but when you get a 208 freight train, I mean, that's hard to derail unless you get shoulders on him. And then he's got the gear, because he pulled away. There's a starting nickel for them that had the angle on him, and Cam's carrying the ball. That's going to slow you down. Yeah. And to be able to take it to the house, that's exactly what we need to recruit there. That's the kind of players that Jacksonville's playing with. And, that's what we need to surround the depth chart with.
I remember when Darius Darden-Box was recruited here for the first couple of years, he was listed as athlete. He wasn't even listed as a position.
Yeah.
Is that the same way as Cameron? And where do you think he's going to play going forward?
I think he's going to be a tailback, but at the end of the day, you're looking for a guy how can we get him the ball in space?
Yeah.
And so we'll hand it to him, throw it to him, and return game I think will be good. His ball skills can improve. That's why he hadn't been out there until now, because of, some ball skill stuff. So we're really trying to work with him. And, if he can secure the catch, then we should have something there.
All right. I brought up Darius Darden-Box. He gets into the end zone and has the touchdown reception for you. There's a guy that looks like he has a bright future.
Yep. Same thing we talked about is just a lot of these because of like an Adrian Davis blew his ACL out, some things like that, we've been able to develop some of these younger players like Macklemore, Box, and those guys have been able to catch the ball and get some reps and done a good job. And that was a great throw because it was step up in the pocket, and Dante delivered the ball.
I don't think some people may pay attention much, but in receiving the football, Tremaine McCullough has been your number 2 guy behind Paul McRoberts all year. There has not been a wide receiver that's been your number 2 receiver. It has been McCullough, who is not only second in the league in rushing, but 104 receiving yards for Tremaine McCullough. What a weapon he is. I mean, because there aren't, just because you're a good tailback, that doesn't mean you can catch the ball out of the backfield.
Exactly. He's what we wanted in the fact that he's got just multiple ways. We didn't think he'd be carrying the ball up inside like we are now, but we knew all along we were going to throw it to him, hand it to him, get him out in space because that's what he can do. And what happens is a lot of linebackers are responsible for running backs, and there's no linebacker that can keep up with him. You need a DB on him, and that's why we've been able to have a little success, and he's done a great job. And Coach Martin's done a good job, our running back coach, of getting him in position.
So we talked about the kickoff return by Cameron Sanders. All of a sudden, Paul McRoberts appears back there on the kickoff team. We're going to see that on Saturday.
I think, I'm not very smart, but I think we need to make sure Cam gets the ball in his hand some.
Well, he got it in on Saturday against Jacksonville State. Paul, again, returning punts on the day. He had a 23-yard return or an 11-yard return, 3 returns overall in terms of punt returns. He's always that one guy that is just one play away from taking it the distance.
Yeah, I mean, it just got that gear.
What did you see as far as game planning for him in the offense? He caught 10 balls almost for another 100-yard game. Did you see a lot of focus from their defense on Paul?
They played a little bit of 2-on-1 with him, but they're so talented. They press you up, and while you're waiting for him to get open, they're sacking you, and that was the thing. I thought we did a decent job. Even though we did take some sacks, we protect decently and was able to hang on the ball a little bit and get the ball to him.
And yet another game where you win the turnover battle. You recover a fumble, you pick off their quarterback, you only have the 1 fumble, so now you're up to a plus 11 in turnover margin. So it looks like no matter what happens on Saturday, you're going to be very highly nationally ranked in turnover margin. So you're looking for increments where you're getting better as a football program. That has to be one of the biggest statements from year 1 to year 2.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, I think we all learned our lesson because we can all say, protecting a football is important. My wife knows that, but is it who you are? And so that's what we were able to do is wire our program. The DNA of the Redhawks is about taking care of the football and about creating takeaways because it just is such a critical factor.
You've got some guys that are closing in on some milestones here. Garrett Roper, who had a monster day, 12 more tackles against Jacksonville State. He comes in needing 8 more tackles to get to 100 in a season. That's pretty special. That's pretty special season for a linebacker. You topped the century mark in tackles.
Yep, and he's been able to stay healthy. And we've subbed him quite a bit, so his snaps from a year ago are down because we're trying to keep him healthy, keep him fresh for the fourth quarter and those type of things. And he's done a good job, and we'll need a big game from him in the passing game this week.
I would not speak for you, but with DeMichael Jackson being in the backfield with Tremaine McCullough, I would anticipate that you probably didn't think Tremaine was going to get this kind of workload, and here we are going into the final week. He needs 73 yards to rush for 1,000 yards in a season. That's a benchmark number if he could get to 1,000 this weekend. Yeah,
for sure, and he was a guy that didn't touch the ball a lot early on. He didn't have much in Missouri and SIU and those type of games, and then, obviously with the injury, we got him going, and just glad that he's not a senior. I'm glad that he's coming back.
And as we mentioned, a major factor in the passing game. Speaking of DeMichael Jackson, how's his rehab coming? We saw him, right after the surgery. He was in a wheelchair on the sideline for one game. Now we see he's up and moving around. He's on the sideline for the home games, and he's the first guy slapping 5 when guys come off the field. How is DeMichael doing?
Well, DeMichael's, he's got a long row ahead of him. I mean, he really does, and just got to take it day by day, and what he's going through is tough, and so this offseason is going to tell a lot.
Well, obviously when you lose an All-American running back, that's a focal point. What a lot of people forget is Adrian Davis was a freshman All-American last year, 6'3" wide receiver, very similar body type to Paul McRoberts, really primed for a big season, and he tears his ACL. How's his rehab going, and what do you think the ceiling is for a guy like Adrian Davis?
He's just got all kinds of talent, and he's kind of like a baby fawn. He's got to improve in the weight room, and the stronger he gets, the better he'll be as a player. But he's got big time ball skills. He's fast. Everything that you're looking for to be a true number one type of receiver, and that's we got to prepare for life without Paul. And he's we want to know, is he going to be that guy, or Macklemore or Box, or maybe we bring in a transfer. So
you look at injuries that you as a coach have experienced over the years. What have you seen over the last few years, guys that tear ACLs, recovery time, and do you think it's going to be a situation where he's healthy? And if he has no setbacks and really hits his rehab hard, is the time frame work for him to be ready to go next season?
Yep. It's around 5 months. And so some take a little longer, and then some don't come back. We had Luther Wright, who was an offensive lineman that had ACL surgery, true freshman last year, had ACL surgery in fall camp, and he hasn't been able to recover. We're going to have to end up medically retiring him. And so it's just different each injury, and you just don't know how they're going to handle it. Ben Fox and Amanda, our trainers, do an unbelievable job with our kids. I mean, I can't tell you how impressed I am with their work ethic. And from what they're telling me, all these ACL surgeries are good to go. They're improving. Sanders is another one that's a huge part of next year's plan, and him along with the other guys are doing really good. Josh Wilson will have surgery in the next 2 weeks to get his ACL going. And so, it'll be a long process.
And Josh has 2 ACLs. Have you ever dealt with?
He doesn't have 2 ACLs.
It is not 2. That's good news.
Yep. So one of them is not, and one of them is. So they are, going in to fix the one, see how the other one does, see if we need to do more surgery.
So that was a big sigh of relief when you got that piece of medical news.
Yeah, for sure.
You look at your quarterback, and obviously everybody is not thinking about next season right now. You're thinking about knocking off UT Martin, knocking them out of any playoff contention, sending your seniors out a winner. But with Dante Vandeven playing this extensively as a freshman, how could that pay dividends down the line? How important is it for him to get this type of experience?
Oh, it's everything. And that's why, you just can't replace just live reps. I mean, you can get them in a board, you can do walkthroughs, you can do practice, but until you get him out there and get him going. And a lot has to do with his confidence, and he takes a big hit and is fine, and he knows he's going to make it. He's not going to just shatter. So I think it just is a process that, he's going through and has killed so far. So we got to just continue to work with him.
All right. UT Martin comes in here, and boy, can they throw the football. Jared Neal, their senior quarterback, leads the league with 27 touchdown passes. He is second in the league overall in total offense. And their wide receiver, Rod Wright, statistically is the top wide receiver in the league in terms of receiving yards, 12 receiving touchdowns. That tops the list and is nationally ranked. What makes their passing game so good? Is it, are they taking a lot of deep shots because they don't get sacked very often? I think they've given up the fewest sacks in the league, which leads me to believe that their quarterback's getting it out really quick.
Yeah, he knows exactly where to go with the ball. And the problem with it is it's a fifth-year senior that is literally like a coach out there. He goes, oh, they're in this, changes the play, snaps it, goes right. He knows exactly where to go. And, so we're going to have to do a good job of trying to disguise and trying to mess with him a little bit. But, at the end of the day, our players are going to have to make plays because he will get them in. He has all year, got him in the right kind of plays. And he's been talented. If it wasn't for the turnovers, and I think they would be just one loss to Jacksonville State for sure.
See, that's just it. As good as they have been, unbelievably, they are dead last in the league in turnover margin. They are a -10. They have lost 14 interceptions and lost 7 fumbles. They have only created a league-low 11 turnovers from their defense. It's amazing to see a -10, yet they are as good as they are.
Yeah, I mean, that is the one stat that just is so different. They're the best in red zone, the best in third down, both offense and defense.
And time of possession, they lead the league.
And so statistically, you're like, wow, wow, wow. And then it's like, what is this? It doesn't match up. And so that, we have to do a great job on the turnover margin. We got to make a big play. We got to limit big plays. And then we got to, win our kicking game. Last year, we dominated in a kicking game. We downed 2 punts inside the 10. We faked a punt. We had good return yards. Like, we dominated in a kicking game. And so that's what we have to do again this year, is try to make plays in our kicking game.
And in the kicking game, they have not been a team that excels. They're 7th in kickoff returns. They're 7th in punt return average. In punting, they're 6th. They do have a pretty good field goal kicker, but the special teams has not been a big plus for UT Martin.
Yeah, they missed a field goal too, I believe, Saturday. And so
which would have won the football game.
Yeah,
they lost by 2.
Yep, yeah. Like you said, it's been something, the turnovers and the special teams, is where we got to try to create some plays, and then we just got to limit them. Offensively, we're going to have to score some points. It's a little bit like Murray. You can't talk about yards. You got to talk about situations. When it's third down, get off the field. When it's red zone, make them kick field goals, because they're gonna make those plays, and we just can't have the big play like we had versus Jacksonville State. They had a lot of chunk yardage, and it was just we couldn't get it stopped.
Eastern Illinois beat them 23-21 this past Saturday. It was a 1-point game in the third quarter before Eastern Illinois picked off Jared Neal on a pick 6. That put them in front 23-15. Then they get a touchdown with just under 5 minutes left. They're down 2. They go for 2 to tie the football game, and they call a running play for Jared Neal. He tried to run it in, didn't make it. So that would have tied the game. The field goal they missed potentially would have won the game. So they were right there with Eastern Illinois.
Yeah, it was just one of those crazy games. The pick 6, defensive end just kind of come and just kind of barely touched his shoulder, so it just lowered the trajectory. The D lineman's right there, and just it's just one of those things that I'm sure they're sick to death over, because it wasn't like an ignorant throw or something bad. It was just one of those things that happens in football.
Well, he threw 4 interceptions in the football game. When you saw the interceptions, were there any bad balls? Or sometimes
there's one bad ball, and 3, 2 on a receiver and 1 was on protection. So the game before Eastern Kentucky, kind of the same situation, and they throw it enough that you're just going to have those kind of plays. Yeah. I mean, if you're in the 40s and 50s, you're going to have some turnovers.
There aren't a whole lot of teams that go to Richmond, Kentucky and beat Eastern Kentucky. And they were down in the fourth quarter in that football game, and they came back and beat EKU. We saw EKU here. You had a tie football game with them at halftime, and they pulled away in the second half. But if you go to Richmond and win, you're a quality team.
Yep. There's no doubt. I mean, you'd have to be blind not to see that this is a really good football team. They have 24 seniors. We have 11. I mean, just that alone tell you, just the maturity level, how they handle things, the reps they've had from practice, spring ball games. I mean, it's just a really mature football team they have.
All right. Before we bring your wife, Lena, on the program here. We want to get at least your version of how you guys met, and then we'll get the real version from her. But if we don't put you on the spot if you don't remember every detail.
Oh, I remember. She really wanted me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like she really chased me, and it's a funny story. We show up to Pittsburgh State on the same day. I'm going to be a GA, and we're having
Pittsburgh State is in Kansas.
Yeah,
yes.
And so we're having a staff meeting. The football coach said, "Hey, there's a new dean of graduate studies moving into town. I seen your grade. You better get over there and help them move in." And so me and some guys went over and helped the family move in. And it was one of those things, you know, you're moving them and you're taking things out of the truck, and it's all guys in there. And, you know, you come in the house and her mom tells you where to put it. Well, the last thing that was in the truck was the underwear drawer.
Oh.
You know, and we're all looking at each other like no one wants to grab the underwear drawer and walk it up to mom. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, this may surprise you, but I said, I got this. Come in, grab the drawer, walk it in, act like I own the place. And from then on, we've been happily married, I guess.
So it all came down to a drawer of drawers.
Yeah, and you had to have something about yourself to have the confidence to grab that sucker, walk in, and I got this, you know.
The underwear drawer made the difference. We'll see if we can get corroboration on that particular story when we have Lena Matukewicz join us. After this timeout, we are at Wings, Etc. in Cape. It's the Kohlfeld Distributing Redhawks Coaches Show with Coach Tuke on SEMO ESPN.
Etc. See, Wings, Etc. has those
Welcome back to Wings, Etc. The Cape Girardeau location, the Kohlfeld Distributing Redhawks Coaches Show with Coach Tuke and with Coach Tuke's lovely better half. Lena Matukewicz is going to join us coming up here in just a moment, but we want to remind you about Wings, Etc.'s comfortable, laid-back atmosphere, their great food, their friendly service. And if you plan to join us for lunch, they have great half-pound lunch specials starting at just $6.49. They have food and drink specials throughout the week, including their 59-cent wings every Monday. And parents, the kids menu is terrific. I know my kids love it. They have family-friendly video games in the dining room. And Wings is open 7 days a week in both locations in Cape and Jackson, and late on the weekends because the games often run late. Lena Matukewicz is here. We heard the underwear drawer story. What was your recollection of move-in day at Pittsburgh State?
Well, Eric, sometimes when you talk to Tom, you might get a story that's a little further from the truth, but that was pretty close.
Pretty close.
Yeah. My parents did fall in love with him before I did. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was the way that was the move then.
Yeah.
For him.
Yeah. He made it happen that day for sure.
Now, he said you grew up in the South. Tell us about where you were raised.
Well, I was born in Louisiana and my mom is from Louisiana, but I was raised in Lubbock, Texas. My dad was an administrator at Texas Tech University, and I grew up in Lubbock, Texas and loved it.
There isn't a whole lot in Lubbock, I hear.
Well, there's not a lot of scenery. It's very flat and very brown, but I find that comforting because you can see a long way. You got a lot of perspective.
We're getting ready to fly down to Edinburgh, Texas for basketball here next week. So I don't know where that is in compared to Lubbock. So Louisiana. So did your family grow up LSU fans?
My mom is a Tiger for sure. I'm an Aggie. I went to Texas A&M.
Okay.
So actually, my whole family is LSU Tigers.
All right. Now, where did this machine, cooking machine in the kitchen title come from?
Well, that's Tom's title for me. Yeah. I really do enjoy cooking. I didn't grow up cooking a lot because my mom was always cooking, and my dad and I ate out most of the time because she was always at the restaurant. But I really do enjoy it, and we get a chance to have players over for supper a lot, and we really love that part of the job. So I do cook a lot and enjoy it.
What's it like to be a coach's wife? Because there are a lot of long nights. There are a lot of road trips. It's a different type of job, right?
It is, but I'm telling you what, it is jam-packed full of blessings for sure. And for heaven's sakes, we're not married to soldiers that are deployed for 18 months at a time. So the schedule is really not that grueling, but it is a different lifestyle. And, you sign up to be judged on the wins and losses of 18-year-olds playing a game in this profession. So you have to really love those 18-year-olds, and we do. And so that's what makes it so, it's just a really fun lifestyle for Tom and myself and our girls, too. They love those Redhawks.
Well, I'm not going to say it's a nomadic lifestyle, but you normally, if you're in the coaching profession, there are a lot of moves.
Sure.
So you're going from community to community. What's that been like?
Well, God has blessed our family with dear friends everywhere we've moved, and we have just had the good fortune of getting to know people really well and spend a lot of time with them. And really, especially here in Cape Girardeau, people have welcomed us so warmly. We have loved our church and the girls' schools and our neighborhood and SEMO, of course. And people have just really, it seems to us, gone out of their way to welcome our family. So we are just grateful for the welcome we've gotten everywhere, but especially here in Cape. We really feel like Redhawks.
Your daughters' names are Georgia and Shelby.
Yes.
So what's the background behind it? Because I know it's a painstaking thing. My wife and I, We've got 3 children, and it was tough narrowing down the names. And are we using family names for middle names? And what went into it? How much input did Coach have?
Okay, well, we had this deal that if we had a girl, that I got to choose the name and he had veto rights, and if we had a boy, he got to change the name or pick the name, and I had veto rights. So I am Lena. I'm the 4th Lena Elaine in a row. We're from Louisiana. We all go by 2 names. But then I married a Matukewicz, and so nobody ever gets Lena right, let alone Lena Elaine Matukewicz.
Well, that's a lot. That's a lot of syllables, a lot of consonants.
It is. Yeah. It is. So Georgia, I just liked that name, so we named her Georgia Elaine to keep the Elaine in there, and that was the first name on the list, or my list. And he said, "I love it," and we stuck with it. And then Shelby came along, and he thought for sure this was going to be a boy, although she's not. She's a darling, redhead, blue-eyed little girl. And I said, how about Shelby Elizabeth, after my best friend Elizabeth in Texas? And there it is.
Now, that's a Steel Magnolia's name now, Shelby.
It is, yeah. And I do love that movie. However, she's not named after that Shelby.
All right. What do they think about football? How engrossed are they in football? Because I know my daughters, they like sports a little bit. They play a little sports, but sports isn't a real big thing for them.
Right. Our girls are not dedicated to one sport necessarily. They haven't chosen their thing yet, but they love everything that goes along with football. And we have these guys in our house all the time. We've had guys live with us for a couple of months for medical reasons and things, and so they really kind of feel like they're their big brothers, and they get a lot of great positive attention from those guys, and so they just love everything that goes along with football.
Coach Tom Matukewicz's wife, that's easy for me to say, Lena, is joining us. Has there ever been a time where Coach comes home after a game and it's, why are we running the fullback on 3rd and 8? Why weren't we throwing the football on that play?
No.
No. Okay.
I do ask him a lot of questions because I do want to learn more and more. And this is our 19th football season together. So I've been around it a long time, and I feel like I'm at the very beginning of this. But I do ask him kind of probably pointed questions sometimes just because I want to understand why that happens and would you do it again, you know? But he is very even. He is so prepared, and so he's always got a good answer for it, you know, and it's a good learning experience for me, and I like to understand the game better.
So your parents had a restaurant growing up. How interesting was that? Because my mom grew up, and you know, her parents, my grandparents, had a restaurant as well. So
Yes.
I would say one of your first jobs was working at the restaurant.
I did a lot of catering growing up. Well, she would probably laugh and say it wasn't a lot of catering. My brother did a lot of catering. You know, it's just 24/7. And Joe and Michelle Hobbs will tell anyone that the restaurant business is fun and it's great to take care of people and make your customers happy. But it's 24/7. And if it's a small family business, it's you know, there aren't a lot of people that you can trust your baby with. And so you're on all the time. So it was really, really hard work for my mom. She really enjoyed it for many years and got the opportunity to entertain and take care of a lot of people.
So I would guess, you know, sitting next to the coach trying to watch a football game, you're hearing what, you know, coaches say, well, why are they in cover 2 on this play? What's going on? Is it the same way when you go out to a restaurant with your mom? I can't believe this dish. I am not a fan of this dish. What are they doing?
Not really. We are all big eaters. We like food. We don't miss a lot of meals. And so we enjoy pretty much everything that we eat. And we try to mix it up a little bit. And Tom is joking that he just now puts pepper on things. But he really has come a long way with eating different things and having a, you know, kind of appetite like ours.
But liver and onions crosses the line.
For me too, I'll have to say.
All right. What's his favorite dish? I mean, if you really want to make him happy and you're going to put something together, what meal are you putting together?
Crawfish étouffée, or just buy a beautiful ribeye. And he's actually a great griller, and so he does the grilling and I do the rest. But crawfish étouffée if it's something made inside.
Now, see, that's interesting. I could see crawfish for someone from Louisiana, but from someone from Kansas, that's interesting.
I think that's his favorite.
He nods in agreement.
Yeah.
So
he's never turned it down.
Give us the funniest Coach Tuke story that you can give us.
Oh my word. I don't know about the funniest, but he really, you know, what you see with him is what you get. And he is a funny guy, but like I said before, he's so prepared and he thinks about these kids so much that when funny stories come up or the kids, what I really love and laugh about is the kids impersonating him. And you should, when you get a chance, ask them to do some Coach Tuke impersonations because it is very funny and it is spot on. And they are really in the zone with this man, and they love him as much as he loves
them.
So
I'm guessing that we're going to have to get a player. You don't have a good Coach Tuke impression.
You know, I don't think I could do a good one on the spot, but I do have some good Coach Tuke impressions.
Some good Tuke stories. We need to find out some of these stories. How impressed are you that he has really advanced technologically with the times? He's got a smartphone. I know a few weeks back I got he's got the Bitmoji, the app. So he's got the little Coach Tuke character. So he's pretty advanced.
I set
or
that
did
up
you have
for
to
him.
set that up?
Well,
Okay.
No, he could do it, but I made sure that was available to him, and it is so funny. Our whole neighborhood, we call it Happy Town over where we live, has Bitmojis, and we are all on it, and we think it's very funny. I'm sure no one else would think it's funny, but we really like it.
Oh, our family sends Bitmojis to each other.
Yeah.
Everybody's got one.
Bitmojis make life happier.
Coach Tuke's got the little goatee. I think it's great.
Yeah. But I will tell you, he's always been pretty technologically advanced. In fact, his graduate school research project had to do with video editing system kind of before their time. So he's been in it for a long time. And he's also a really big reader. People don't know that about him.
Really?
Big reader.
Comic books or?
No, he likes, self-improvement books and leadership books and things, but he's got a really good library and he loans them out to kids or gives them to kids and encourages them to read them too. So
I have noticed some of the great coaches down through time have been voracious leaders and they read everything they can get their hands on as far as leadership goes and leading men.
Absolutely. And he doesn't even have to really be a fan of the author. He just likes to hear what they have to say. And we've kind of done I think, a good job in our married life of picking and choosing information that worked for our family, but at least exposing ourselves to as much as we can and then deciding what's right for us.
Lena Matukewicz, our guest here on the Kofeld Distributing Redhawks Coaches Show. We're at Wings, etc. and K-12 seniors will be honored before the football game at Houck Stadium. And I would guess, as a coach's wife, these are 12 family members for you that are going to be suiting up or at least being honored at Houck Stadium for the final time on Saturday.
Absolutely. And we love these young men like our family. Last year, I had the honor of getting to walk out with Ron Davis, number 23, a safety that was from California. His mama couldn't make it all the way, so Georgia and I got to stand there with him, and that was a huge honor. This year, I don't know that we have anybody that's needing a stand-in mama, but I'd be happy to do it. So we will be very sad to see these guys go. However, we are so grateful for the leadership that they have given this young team. And I feel like many of them will be examples for these young guys to watch for years to come. And I don't mean in the NFL, I just mean in life as good men. So we'll keep an eye on them for sure.
All right. When you decided that you gave him the green light that you would marry him after he asked you, well, first of all, how did he ask you?
Oh, Eric, that is not a good story.
Oh, well, coach's face just went into his hand. We got a face rub back there, so that.
Well, he tells everyone that he asked me to marry him, and I said no. But really, what happened is I didn't answer him because I wasn't aware I'd been proposed to.
Any chance that you were nervous about having to figure out how to spell Matukewicz?
Yes, but he does have a song that you can sing as you write it that I'm not going to.
Oh, we got to hear the song.
He'll do it when he comes up. He'll do it when he comes up for sure.
All right.
That can teach you how to spell it correctly, and my daughters do it too, or Georgia does. Shelby's just 3, so she's not spelling it yet.
That is fantastic.
So that's really the only time that he's dropped the
Matukewicz
ball.
Song.
Yeah, exactly.
That is
exactly.
fabulous. Well, we got to hear that. We thank you so much for your time, and you're at every one of these shows. We certainly appreciate it, and you can stop back anytime.
It's my pleasure, and we appreciate you. Thank you so much for all the good time and attention you've given him in this program.
All right. That is Coach Tuke's wife, Lena, the tremendous machine in the kitchen, according to Coach Tuke. We're back to wrap it up. Talk about Senior Day coming up on Saturday after this on the SEMO ESPN Sports Network. Welcome back. Final segment. Colfeld Distributing, Redhawks Coaches Show with Coach Tuke. We're at Wings, etc. in Cape. Now, we will not have a show next week. We want to give you a heads up here. We will have a show in 2 weeks, and Coach Tuke will be back for a recap. We'll also talk some Redhawks basketball. But it is the final game coming up Saturday at Hawk Stadium. And Coach Tuke, you're going to be honoring 12 seniors. I want to run through the names here. Paul McRoberts, Alex Niznak, Lewis Washington, Traven Mabel, John Slania, David Coley, Josh Freeman, Ryan Evans, Wade Wright, Lawrence Hills, Austin Black, and Peter Lloyd. That's a pretty good class.
Yeah, it really is. And everyone, as you say those names, man, just stories and good times come to mind, and just looking forward to sending them off. And I hope they have everything they're looking for and dream of moving forward.
You look at this UT Martin game, what is going to be the biggest factor in the game? I mean, I know you always talk about turnover margin, but, man, they're throwing the ball on everybody. They threw the ball in Jacksonville State.
Yep. I think that our thing is, we do a deal where it's keys to victory, and sometimes I talk about them, sometimes I don't, because I don't want the opponent knowing. But, it's the turnover margin. Okay, when you look at that, that's the first thing that jumps out. Second is big plays. They play a really tight, lots in the box style of defense, and we got to be able to penetrate that one level of defense. We got to make big plays in the run game and the passing game, and defensively, we can't let them throw for big plays. If they throw and we hit it, tackle it, we'll be just fine. And then we got to play great in situations. They're great on third down and red zone, and that's where we got to be able to make some of those plays. So those are the three keys to victory as a team.
Their defense has been solid, but it hasn't been an opportunistic defense. They haven't shown to have a lot of playmakers that force turnovers, make big plays on defense this year. You've got a lot of those guys on your defense. Roper Garrett comes to mind, Chad Meredith, Eric Moore, and Mike Ford. I mean, these guys are all defensive playmakers for us.
Yep. Be able to make those plays. We need those big plays made, and that's what we'll be talking about. I have a team meeting at 2:30, got a cut up ready to show, and just unloading the plan and talking about what it's going to take to win this weekend.
I guess the biggest question going into this football game is, what does the Coach Matukewicz song sound like to spell the last name?
Well, before she got up here, I said, "Hey, babe, loose lips sink ships. Be careful." And, man, she's up here just airing it all out, man. I tell you what.
I can see the back end of the Titanic right about now, right there, yeah.
But, yeah, this song kind of helped me, back in my younger days when I was a single man, you know what I'm saying, and, working the lunch lines or whatever. But because
working the lunch lines, okay, yeah.
You got to know where to find them. And so, the old Mickey Mouse song went like this: MICKEYMOUSE, right. Mickey Mouse. And so had a teacher help me because I wasn't very bright. I couldn't even spell my own name. And so she helped me, and I carried it through. It's MATUKEWICZ, Matukewicz. And so it kind of stuck.
Very nice. That's the biggest ovation we've got.
This show, man, you got to tune in because you never know what we're going to be talking about.
It's the biggest ovation I've seen you get since you beat Southeastern Louisiana.
Right.
Yeah. All right. It's going to be Saturday at 1 o'clock. Let's hope we have a nice turnout to send the seniors off, and it'd be awfully nice to get out of here and send all those seniors out with a win. I always keep a close eye on senior day, because after the game, it could be up to almost an hour after the game, and there'll still be some players out on the field, maybe with family members. 95% are the seniors, because I think a lot of them know once they walk off the field for the last time, they understand.
Yeah, it's crazy. Football's like milk. It's got an expiration date for all of us, coaches, players, and at some point you're no longer going to be able to play the game, and that's going to happen for these seniors. And I know, we're going to have our banquet the very next day on Sunday and celebrate what they've done. And, I think whether or not there's a big turnout is just, we want to play well. I know Cape's in town with a huge football game at the same time and those type of things. And there's no, we're pulling for the Tigers just like they are for the Redhawks. So it's going to be a beautiful day for football. And, we just got to make sure we prepare for this opportunity, because, if we win, I heard this stat, it'll be the most wins we've had, or the second time we've won 4 conference games in 12 years. And that's kind of a big deal.
Only the 2010 team was able to do that.
Yeah, and so in school history, so those are the type of things that, these seniors feel like, we've kind of built this first floor off of the foundation of last year's seniors, and they'll have a lot of pride moving forward. All
right, I know you have kind of pretty much stayed to putting bricks in the brickyard for nationally ranked teams, but for a senior day to knock off a big-time offense like UT Martin, send the seniors out, 4th conference win, might that be brick-worthy?
It's definitely going to be huge. I mean, it's a huge game. It is what it is. If we don't win, is it going to, all of a sudden it's over? No. But if you win, it'll just be an affirmation, a lot of the things that this team has done.
And once the football is over Saturday, Cape Central and Southeast, you mentioned your 2nd annual Brick by Brick Football Awards luncheon is at the Isle Casino, noon on Sunday, and it is open to the public. The cost is $20 a person. Dress is business casual attire. You probably had something to say about that. You didn't want to wear a tie.
I will wear a tie.
You will wear a tie.
Yeah.
All right, Coach. Come out and see Coach Tuke in a tie, and participants can also sponsor a table of student athletes for $200 or an additional student athlete for $20. That is at the Isle, and hopefully a nice turnout on Sunday.
Yeah, it will be, and it's going to be a great opportunity to that's the last time this team will ever be together.
Yeah.
Come Monday, that team looks completely different, and that's the crazy thing about what we do.
So that'll be the culmination Sunday at the Isle. Coach, we will see you Saturday at Houck Stadium. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
That's Coach Tom Matukewicz. Remember, no show next week. 2 weeks, Coach Tuke will be back with us. We'll be here in the Cape Girardeau location of Wings, etc. We'll also talk some Redhawks basketball with Coach Rick Ray. So that's going to do it. Thanks to Lennon Matukewicz for joining us today. Also want to thank Dean Field, our chief engineer, Todd Benacki, Charlie Bradley, our video coordinator. That will wrap it up. We'll get you back to ESPN radio programming straight ahead, and hope to see you at Houck Stadium for Senior Day on Saturday. So long, everybody, from Wings.
It's Southeast Missouri's ESPN Radio Sports Network, 92.9 KLSC Malden, 1220 KGIR Cape Girardeau, and 1470 KMAL Malden. This has been a proud presentation of Southeast Missouri's ESPN Radio Sports Network. We now join regular programming all